This call is now being recorded.
Dr. Alfred, thank you very much for joining. Sir, can you? Howard, PhD, Heather is joining. Sorry, no. Okay. Can you call me? Sure. Sure. Please call me. Dr. Mondal, good morning.
Good morning, sir. Good afternoon. I am thinking for you. Okay.
I'm visible, I'm audible.
Yes, sir. Everything is good. It's fine. You are visible as well as audible. I am just thinking to call you.
Okay, because I was on another meeting.
Okay. No problem, sir.
Oh, yes.
We are happy to have you in our seminar.
Welcome. And Dr. Albatross come?
Yes, sir. He has already joined.
Okay, yes.
You can, if you want, you can call me to Dr. Also.
But good afternoon, Dr. Alfred. Alfred sir.
He has joined already. He called me also. Yeah. I think he has unmute his phone. Rahul Vishwas.
Yes, sir.
Please unmute.
Yes.
Have you joined?
Yes, sir.
Please check.
Yes, sir, I'm checking.
Sujata, have you joined?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Then Sangeeta,
Yes, sir. I'm here.
then Rahul is present. And Anusha,
Yes, sir. I have joined.
Solomon,
Yes, sir.
Sohini,
Yes, sir. I have joined.
Sangeeta, Sagota,
Yes, sir.
and Surjo.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, fine. All the best to all of you.
Thank you, sir.
Alternate?
Antariksh already joined, sir.
I'm here, sir.
Fine. Okay.
Sir, our PIC, sir,
Yeah.
also. Yeah.
We have joined.
Yes, sir.
Okay, fine.
Yes, sir.
We will start at 2. Exactly at 2.
Our IPSC coordinator also here.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Babatso.
Good morning, Dr. Pranaji.
Thank you very much. Okay, thank you, sir. You are visible to me.
Thank you.
Okay. Dr. Catharanthus Rosius, thank you very much for joining. Abhishek and dear students, 3 minutes late, we will start at sharp 2 p.m. Students, get ready. Now it's time. Abhishek, start the program.
Hello and welcome everyone. Thank you for joining us for the webinar Biodiversity and Environment, jointly organized by IQAC and SPCMC Nature Club of St. Paul's Cathedral Mission College, Kolkata. Since we have decided to organize this webinar to the active participation of our students, now without further ado, I am handing over the responsibility to Ms. Srijota Saha, a student of SEM 2 of the Department of Bengal. Over to Srijota.
A very good afternoon. I initiate this convivial event by extending a warm welcome to everyone present here in the webinar of the SPCMC Nature Club entitled Biodiversity and Environment. Just like any other event of our college, the dawn of this event will be marked by our divine prayer. I would ask Ms. Sangeeta Paul, a student of second semester, Department of English, to lead us with the prayer offering.
Thank you, Srijata. I offer my sincere thanks to the coordinator of the Nature Club, Dr. Kumar Mondol, for giving me this opportunity. Okay, we will start our webinar with prayers to our Heavenly Father. Actually, prayer is to talk to our God. Let's pray. Our Heavenly Father, thank you for this beautiful digital media, where we are able to reunite and present this webinar even in this pandemic time. I especially pray for our St. Paul's Cathedral Mission College Butterfly Garden that you have helped to make it and present it before everyone. Lord, I pray for the students who are participating and presenting their PowerPoints. Lord, help them that they can explain those clearly. Lord, I pray for our teachers who are leading us. God, fill them with your wisdom. I especially pray for our honorable guest speaker, Dr. Ashokante Shanal, that whatever he is going to present about save biodiversity and save humanity. Lord, I pray for every audience and students that we can learn something through this webinar and apply this in our lives. Lord, I keep these internet arrangements on your hands, that there is no problem or issue in presenting. Bless everyone who are attending and fill them with your wisdom, Lord. Thank you, God, for everything. I do this prayer in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Sangeeta, thanks for conducting the prayer. We will move forward with the blessing of Dear Father. If truth be told, it is my honor that I will be hosting this enlightening webinar organized by SPCMC Nature Club with the immense support of the coordinator of Nature Club, Dr. Kalyan Kumar Mondol sir. The Nature Club of St. Paul's Cathedral Mission College came into existence in February 2019 with the desire to turn the campus of the institution into a greener and eco-friendly one. Our vision of living in a healthy environment is our birthright. It's regularly checked by organizing eco-friendly activities, plantation programs, and workshops. To keep our initiative alive among all the students, regular debates and seminars are conducted, which is why we all have assembled here today. Now, I would implore Professor Debashish Mondol, teacher in charge of our college, to formally inaugurate this webinar with his welcome address.
It's my privilege to be in a nice webinar on biodiversity, and I thank God for He has made this universe, He has made this world and our diverse. And more diverse we are, more biodiversity, we are more healthy in our environment. I really thank our speaker, my thanks to speaker Dr. Catharanthus Rosius, who has been who has been formally associated with the Geological Survey of India as a director, and presently he is the chairman, West Bengal Board, Biodiversity Board. And also I really thank and welcome our secretary of the governing body, Dr. J.R.D. Alfred, who was also formerly director of Geological Survey of India and presently president of Nature, Environment and Wildlife Society. Along with them, I also convey my thanks to coordinator of the Nature Club, Dr. Kalyan Kumar Mondol and his team, and our IQAC coordinator, Dr. Subhachandra Mahapatra, and all the students who are actively participating and the teachers who are actively participating. And I really hope that this webinar is going to be a wonderful one, and we will all be benefited by this project. Thank you very much.
We are extremely thankful to have you among us, sir. Today, we are also honored to have Dr. J.R.D. Alfred, Secretary of the Governing Board of our college and also the President of Nature, Environment and Wildlife Society, who will grace this occasion with his kind words.
Thank you very much indeed. I am so happy that today the Nature Club and IQAC of St. Paul's Cathedral Mission College, Kolkata, are hosting a webinar on biodiversity and environment. To Dr. Kalyan Kumar Mandal, who along with the student coordinators have not only taken initiative, but have brought it to fruition today by a real sense of gratitude. Dr. Mandal has always been such a nature lover and a great enthusiast, the evidence of which can be seen in the beautiful butterfly garden that he has developed at the college with the help of Mr. Arjun Basuroy of Nature Mix. Thanks also go to the teacher in charge, Dr. Devashish Mandal, and our bursar, Dr. Suvendu Kanjilal, for giving all the support to see that this webinar reaches out to the widest audience possible. All the more, it is a delight to see that they have asked Dr. Ashok Kanti Sanyal, Chairman of the West Bengal Biodiversity Board, to be the speaker on this occasion. Having known Sanyal for over 2 decades as a close colleague when we were together at the Zoological Survey of India, I can assure you that with his vast experience in the subject, no one is better equipped than him to bring to us his thoughts on the topic of the day, and I'm eagerly waiting to hear from him. Dr. Sanyal sir, wishing you the very best. And with your kind permission, sir, may I put forward some thoughts relevant to the subject of the seminar, which you might want to address.
Sure.
The tapestry of life on Earth is unraveling as humans increasingly dominate and negatively influence natural systems, given the highly uneven distribution of species and threats. Are we, sir, conserving what we say we are? This question is increasingly asked by everybody worldwide, and the answers till today, unfortunately, sir, remain ambiguous at best. Can we defy nature's end? Is saving remaining biodiversity still possible, sir? And is protecting that biodiversity economically possible? What about the protecting area network, sir? Should we have our research and management centralized, or should it be decentralized so that everybody can look after themselves? Should we concentrate on protection of species or slowing the harm to such protection? And in all this, sir, do we really know enough to protect biodiversity? Yes, but is it extinction a natural process? We may ask. Certainly we reply. Of course, the exceptions are there, sir, during the last 5 mass extinctions that was eliminated, the dinosaurs, the trilobites and the others. But what I'm talking to you is an extinction which undergoes by its natural process. Taking 1 billion years for a species lifetime, one expects 1 in a million to go extinct actually every year, sir. So, for approximately 10,000 world-known species, but one should be extinct only once every century. But as of now, sir, it's more than within 1 year it happens to be extinct, which is 100 times higher, sir. We would like to hear from you, sir, whether conserving biodiversity is efficiently, what to do, sir, where and when. Explicitly accounting for ongoing species losses, is it our objective to minimize the loss of species or rather maximize the gain? And moreover, sir, added to all this, climate change over the last 30 years has produced numerous shifts in the distributions and abundances of species and has implicated more than one species level extinction. As you well know, sir, and you have been involved in it, we have come a long way since Rio de Janeiro. We know that not all species can be saved from extinction. So now we face a time of what are the tragic choices and creative compromises. And biodiversity will probably be compromised in many protected areas, as you will very well know, sir, vulnerable to local, national and international economic forces. But of course, sir, as someone really said, ultimately the future of a natural system and its biodiversity depends not on the protection from humans, but on its relationship with the people who inhabit it and share the landscape with. Sir, thank you for giving me such an opportunity to be part of this wonderful and useful seminar. And I'm looking forward to hearing from you. And I'm sure that all of you who have joined in are looking forward to it as much as I am. Best wishes and congratulations to all who have put this together. Thank you very much. And a great looking forward to Dr. Ashok Kanti Sanyal, Chairman, West Bengal Biodiversity Board. Thank you all.
Thank you so much, sir, for your inspiring and encouraging words. We would proceed with the event and the introduction will be brought to us by the student coordinator, Mr. Rahul Biswas of 4th semester from the Department of Economics.
Thank you, Srijata. A very good afternoon to the distinguished speaker, all the honorable delegates present today, respected secretary, governing body of our college, respected professors, my seniors, fellow batchmates, and my juniors, all the members of St. Paul's Cathedral Mission College family, and members associated with HMH's Nature Club. This is Rahul Biswas, belongs to the Department of Economics and is one of the students coordinator of this webinar. I express my sincere gratitude to Dr. Kollan Kumar Mundal sir, coordinator of SPCMC Nature Club, for giving me this honorable designation. I warmly welcome everyone present in this webinar today. Nature Club is not only a club, but it is a step towards protection of our biodiversity. The lush green campus with flowers and butterflies is worth spending hours for. Besides having a strong foundation, we are privileged to study in a green environment. We as students, our foremost duties are to maintain this greenery with the help of our college authorities. As very rightly said, be the change you want to see in the world. So, being a responsible citizen of our country, let's make our college our second home more greener. In this situation of lockdown, to be confined into homes for months and to fall in depression is not a solution, but we need to use this ample time to explore our hidden talents, attend webinars to gain knowledge, and do something productive. Therefore, this webinar is arranged to make more people aware of our environment. We humans should protect our environment and make sure it stays overwhelming for the days to come. Today's speaker, Dr. Ashok Kanti Shamal sir, is going to explain the theme of this webinar, biodiversity and environment, which will certainly be a learning experience for all of us present. I believe in these dire times of depressions and anxiety, this webinar would surely act as a lifter as well as play an important role of making a greener, a happier, and a healthier world. Thank you.
Thank you, Rahulda, for your precious words. Now that we are well informed about the webinar, I would bring up the code of conduct to us all. To avoid hindrance in the lecture, none of us should start presenting unless asked, none of us should turn on the microphones, or none of us should interrupt in between the lecture. All of you are requested to drop your queries and questions with your name in the text bar, and it will be answered once the lecture is over. Now that we are well informed about the webinar as well as the code of conduct, I would request Ms. Anusha Roy, a student of 4th semester, Department of English, to introduce our excellent speaker so that he can enlighten us without any further ado.
Thank you, Srijata. Good afternoon, everyone. I am Anusha Roy, a student of semester 4, the Department of English, St. Paul's Cathedral Mission College. Today, I have the great pleasure of introducing our resource person, Dr. Ashok Kanti Shamal to you. I want to express my heartfelt gratitude to Dr. Kollan Kumar Mondal sir, the coordinator, Nature Club, St. Paul's Cathedral Mission College, for giving me this significant opportunity to introduce such a pronounced personality amongst us. Though Dr. Shamal doesn't need any introduction, but it's our duty to introduce him to all of us with his enlightening personality and works towards nature. Dr. Shamal has made rudimentary contributions to our understanding of nature. He is now the Honorable Chairman of West Bengal Biodiversity Board. Dr. Shamal completed his master's and doctoral degree in zoology from the University of Calcutta. He also worked as a lecturer in the postgraduate department of zoology at Darjeeling Government College. Dr. Shamal attended 2 courses on biodiversity at the University of Bradford, UK, under course in Singapore. He He is engaged in researches on taxonomy and ecology and ecology, wildlife and biodiversity. He discovered over 130 species of animals as new to science. He also published several books and more than 230 scientific papers in national and international journals. Dr. Chandler was also a part of the 19th Indian Scientific Expedition team to Antarctica in 1999-2000 and discovered 6 new species and published several papers on Antarctic fauna and climate change. Several researchers worked under his supervision and were awarded MPhil and PhD degrees. Dr. Chandler was the former director of Zoological Survey of India. He is also a fellow member of Zoological Society Kolkata and West Bengal Academy of Science and Technology, and also the council member and biological science secretary of the Asiatic Society Kolkata. On a final note, Dr. Chandler is an enchanting individual. We are grateful for his presence and his valuable time that he has given us today. Without further ado, please join me in welcoming our today's honorable speaker, Dr. Ashok Kante Chandler, with all our warmth. So now, I am requesting Dr. Chandler to deliver a valuable and esteemed speech entitled "Save Biodiversity, Save Humanity." Thank you. Dr. Chandler, please carry forward.
Thank you. Very good afternoon, everybody. At the outset, I would like to express my sincere thanks and gratitude to the teacher in charge, Professor Devashish Mondol of the St. Paul's College, and my gratitude to respected Dr. J.R. Alfred, former Director, Zoological Survey of India. He seems to be my guru, and we were encouraged in many ways when I was in Zoological Survey of India, and I worked under his able guidance in the Zoological Survey of India, and I learned many things. And most important one is the dynamicity which we have seen in Dr. Alfred. It's very dynamic, and he encourages all the time everybody, and during his time, Zoological Survey of India flourished and famed a lot in the world. I once again pay my respect, humble respect to Dr. J.R. Alfred. And I am grateful and express my sincere thanks to Professor Kullan Kumar Mondol, all the way he contacted me, and he actually I am very happy with him in the sense that he is the coordinator of a nature club, and we from the biodiversity board, we are encouraging the schools and college teachers and students to develop the nature club in the name of the bio club, and development of butterfly park, biodiversity park, biodiversity intervention centers in colleges and schools and universities. And in that respect, Professor Mondol has developed the butterfly park. Today I will see that one. And that's why I am very, very much grateful to Professor Mondol for encouraging the students who would be our future custodians of the nature, Mother Earth. And once again, I also extend my thanks to the coordinator of the I2SC and Dr. Alfred. In his introduction, very, very correctly mentioned, raised few questions. These are the questions of the day. And frequently, the people who are getting concerned with the biodiversity, environment, and overall the state of the Mother Earth at this moment. This is very, very important. And these are of very spiritual importance today at this very important juncture of time, this pandemic, corona pandemic, and corona pandemic, as because all of us know that this pandemic, not only this corona, the other viral diseases, particularly the zoonotic diseases, are very much related, concerned with the environmental degradation, ultimately the biodiversity loss. So that the topic biodiversity and environment which the coordinators have selected is very much, very, very pertinent today, and I am very happy that they have invited me to speak on this topic to the, particularly to the students, because I believe from my experience, this is the time to make aware the students, for the successful implementation of the sustainable goals as well as for development of the and the well-being of the humankind. I'm going for to my PPT. Is it visible? This PPT is visible? Hello?
No,
Sir, you have
not yet.
No, sir, you have to present.
And then how to make it visible? Actually,
Share your screen. Share your screen on the right side. Share. Share them.
here I'm not getting the share.
Sir, there may be three dots. There may be three dots.
No.
Antariksh, please help in present.
So there is an option called present screen on the top right side, sir. Three dots you will see. You have to click it and see.
Yes, I know, but I'm not getting here. Why not? I do not know. I'm not getting.
Sir, first turn off your presentation, then you will find the option. Close your presentation first, sir. Then you will find the option on your screen.
Sir, go to Google Meet and you will find it.
Actually,
Antariksh, please tell him to put the screen.
Sir, go to Google Meet, sir. Sir, go to Google Meet.
three dots. Okay, three dots are here, and full screen. Then
Sir, go to Google Meet, sir.
go to Google Meet.
Yes, sir. Go to Google Meet.
I'll close this one. I'll close this one. Then go to Google Meet.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Go to Google Meet. Yes, sir. Sir, go to the top left, top right corner. There will be three dots.
Just now below there is a three dots.
Yes, sir. Press the three dots. There is a present screen option there.
There full screen is option. There full screen. And then turn on caption, settings, report help, change layout. A full screen option is there only.
Sir, no.
And turn on captions.
Sir, is there no present screen option?
The option should be present now with an arrow on the box.
There will be a present now option in the bottom.
Present now option. Just
Yes, sir.
going. Just present now option is there.
Sir, press that option. Press that button, sir.
Present button I've given. Then I go for the PPT.
Yes, sir.
Present the full.
Present the full screen.
Yes, sir.
Your entered screen. Here now.
There is a box with an upper arrow. Can you see that? Just click on it.
Now it is sharing.
Yes, sir. It's presenting, sir. It's
Yes,
presenting.
Yes, sir. It's showing.
Sharing.
Yes, sir.
Now it is visible.
No, sir. Now it currently is gone. You need to go back. Sir. You need to go back.
First time it came, again it went. Yeah. Try it again.
Yes, present now. Then here enter screen. And this is the thing. Here.
Now it's coming. It's coming, sir.
It's come.
It has come.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Oh, again it's gone.
Begin this.
Sir, go to PowerPoint, sir.
It is
Yes, it's come. It has come.
Acha. Then I can make it full screen.
Sir, go to slideshow tab, sir. Slideshow tab.
Go to slideshow.
Slideshow.
Yes. Right. It's okay. Now start.
It's okay.
Yes, sir. You can start, sir.
Okay. Okay. Sorry for that disruption. My topic is Safe Biodiversity of Humanity. And then what Dr. Alfred already mentioned, that this humankind is in such a state, that the whole world is in good. What will be the solution? What will be the solution? And the solution the whole world is thinking is the sustainable development. We're running after development for hundreds of years, and once Rabindranath Tagore in China in 1924, he told in a lecture that the whole nation, the newly developed and independent nations, they're running after the development of the Western countries, that the development through the technologies, and that development, this chariot, the nations are running after that chariot of progress, and this chariot is making the ditches, and ditches are the effect of this running after this progress of the Western countries as the technological development, through technological development, and the ultimate result is the misery of the people. That I would like to mention here. And for many decades, environmentalists, biologists, scientists, philosophers, social workers, and everybody are thinking about the interdependent nature of all species within it. What the species are responsible, intimately associated, how intimately associated with the humankind, and how the humankind, their well-being, their development are connected with the species in this earth. For several decades, world governments and policy bodies have been on a course of attempting to improve human well-being. It is the human nature, and it is the responsibility of all nations, of all the world governments, to look at the human well-being, and almost all the economic developments which we mention in respect of the human well-being is the curse during the last 100 years. Why? As because human well-being is the well-being of the humankind, particularly their happiness in the scale of 1 to 4. I'm not going into the details, as well as the objective measures of the well-being, that is the access to medical care. Access to medical care, the health, the education, the food, the shelter, these are the basic needs, and the relationship and the social system. These are the basic components of happiness of the humankind. The human well-being has eluded any universal definition because of this multi-dimensionality. It is a multi-dimensional component, this human well-being. It encompasses concepts of knowledge, friendship, self-expression, affiliation, body dignity, economic security, freedom, affection, wealth, and leisure. But most of the nations, countries are very much interested about the economic security as the prime and first and prime need, the thing. And that is the problem. The consideration of economic security is the first and foremost component of the human well-being. And there are 5 pillars of economic development as mentioned in the Millennium Ecosystem Assessment. The basic material for good life, security, health, good social relations, and freedom of choice and action. Freedom of choice and action is the most important part, most important one for the well-being of the humankind. If there is no freedom, there will be no development. There are, however, Smith et al. Identified 799 indicated variables. I have mentioned only 5, as mentioned in Millennium Ecosystem Assessment. But in one paper, I've seen that 799 indicated variables have been mentioned. Then, why I have selected this topic is biodiversity, humanity. Is the human being, humankind is not safe, not in safe state? Let's see. Out of 700 crores, it is old one now, it is 780 crores of people in the world. Nearly 680 crores of people live in the third world. That means nearly 85% of the world people population, they live in the third world. And of this third world people, 200 crores live below poverty level. And their daily income below 32 rupees. And out of 3, 1 suffers from malnutrition, 10% children of 34 countries in third world cannot reach the age of 5 years due to malnutrition, and this percentage is 20% in Africa and 1.5 million in India. More than 150 crores of people are illiterate. No arrangement for drinking water for about 150 crores of people. And this is the situation. This is the situation of the third world countries where 85% people, population of the world lives. Then, so that these people are not safe. These people are not safe. And again, due to all these factors that I have mentioned, and I have already in the beginning I mentioned, all the diseases, the Ebola in West Africa due to deforestation, the avian flu, Nipah virus, and the MERS, SARS, and virus, all this, and in the recent one, COVID-19, all are related to the environmental degradation as well as the biodiversity loss. So this is the time to think. And as I have already mentioned several times, all the nations' governments are thinking about their claim responsibility to development of the humankind, well-being of the humankind. Then for that, in recently in 2015, the 17 sustainable goals have been selected by the United Nations. And why the 17 developmental goals? As because considering the problems of the humankind towards their development, towards their well-being, the first one was considered as the end poverty. The first one is the end poverty. Poverty is, it is very sorry to say that India is one of the one most developed, we can say now it's a developed country in many respects, but still poverty occupies the first position towards the in the components of the 17 developmental goals, sustainable development goals. And in 2015, about 736 million people still lived in the less than $1.90. That means nearly 100 rupees per day. And many lack food, clean drinking water, and sanitation. This is the state of poverty. And due to poverty, 1.7 million children, they cannot go to school. 1.5 million people, they cannot reach 5 years of age due to malnutrition. 821 million people, they suffer from diseases out of hunger, and there are many informations are there. And then hunger. We know that that I've already mentioned 821 million people, they suffer from hunger-related diseases, and almost half in the past two decades, almost half of the people, they were suffering from hunger. And this in as of 821 people as of 2017 information, there are over 90 million children under 5 are dangerously underweight due to food insecurity. We know that this food, the 70% of the crops are pollinated by the pollinators, dominated by the bees. There are about 17,000 to 20,000 species of bees which help in pollination. Mostly they help in pollination, but due to some anthropogenic activities, indiscriminate activities of the humankind, the population of bees are gradually dwindling and getting less and less, and the pollination is getting affected. And ultimately, the result is the loss of the crop production, and it causes the insecurity of food. But the basic benefit we get from the biodiversity is the security of the food security of food, and ensures food security. But it is lacking due to human activities. And we know that nearly 8,000 species of plants are edible. Of these, 200 species of plants are cultivable, being cultivated, and of these, 14 species of plants and 20 species of animals are providing about 80% of the nutrients to the humankind. But there are a good number of biological resources, bioresources, which are available in nature, which are being used by the indigenous people of our country. And these are not yet tapped by the scientists, not studied by the scientists, and there are extremely high potentiality of those biological resources which can be used successfully as food for the humankind. And these are lacking. That's why this hunger. So that with the environmentalist, we can advocate that these biological resources are immediately to be studied by the scientists and develop the source of food for the humankind and attain the healthy life. The third goal, health is one of the health is the wealth. So that this health is not satisfactory to for the humankind, then there is no development. The humanity is not saved. That's why we are to depend on the health, on biological resources for getting for the development of the health from the biological resources. And this we know that at least 200 million people have no basic health care and 40% lack social protection. 400 million people, they are lacking the health care. And every 2 seconds, someone aged 30 to 70 years of non-communicable diseases, they are died. They die of non-communicable diseases. Every 2 seconds, one aged person, and cardiovascular diseases and diabetes and cancer. And all these diseases need medicine. And biological resources, biodiversity is to be only source of medicine for those diseases. And 7 million people die every year from polluted air. Due to air pollution, 7 million people die every year. So this is the state of health of our country, and this health is very much dependent on the biological resources. Then quality education. If the health is not good, if there is a hunger, if there is poverty, education cannot be developed. Gender equality, empowered women and girls everywhere. And we know that the women and girls, women are the main source in the society, human being in the society. They know better than the men about the biodiversity, the importance of biodiversity, and so that these women are to be empowered towards the conservation of biodiversity. Water and sanitation, very, very bad state, particularly in our country and all over the world. We know that recently in this year, the Niti Aayog, government of India, they have told that in this year, in 2020, 21 states in our country will get suffered from the water crisis, very critical water crisis. And this water crisis also affects the humankind in so many ways. Not only disease, and one very important factor is that the women and girls they have to go work miles after miles for collecting potable water, and this hampers this creates problems, their health problems, as well as it creates problem in some other social duties, responsibilities, so that this water and sanitation are to be looked into, and biodiversity is very because this water level is going down and down. That is the main problem. That is the main problem all over the world. And this water level depends on the biodiversity, depends on the plants, and also the soil, fauna, and flora, so that this biodiversity are to be saved. Then other sustainable industrialization, sustainable cities, and number 15, the terrestrial ecosystems and all biodiversity loss, because all these 17 goals are directly or indirectly related to the biodiversity and this protection and restoration of terrestrial ecosystem. And because we know that terrestrial ecosystem is the most important, one of the most important ecosystems, for which this biodiversity survives. Biodiversity extends their functions in the form of ecosystem functions, and renders at least 21 services to the humankind as well as other living entities on the earth. And so that all these 17 goals are related, and these are for the development of the humankind, to save the humanity. Now, see, I have repeatedly told that all these biodiversity goals, sustainable goals, are related to the biodiversity. We are to save biodiversity, and save biodiversity to save humanity. We know that this humankind, this modern human, our age is about 2 lakhs of years. 2 lakhs of years. And before that, this age of the humankind living on this earth, and this earth first existed 4.6 billion years ago, and it took nearly 1 billion years for the first life form to come. And after that, due to this things, then life has proliferated due to proliferation, and amazingly diversified forms of lives were developed, and these amazing life forms, including plants, animals, microbes, their genetic diversity, and even diversity of the ecosystems they occupy, together called the biodiversity. These are developed. The biodiversity are developed after this first life forms come 1 billion years. After 1 billion years of the Earth's existence. And then the Earth gradually became the abode of millions of organisms. And some interactions developed between these organisms, and these interactions is now we call the ecosystem, ecological system. And this ecological system. Then the question comes, so what is biodiversity? But students are just mentioning bio is equal to the life, and the diversity is the variety. That means variety of life. It is very simple thing. It is very simple thing, variety of life. And not only variety of life, what are those life? The lives, these animals, plants, the microbes, and the fungi, and the protista, all these life forms on the earth, and their diversity in their genetic material, and also in the diversity of the ecosystem, diversity in their habitats in raw sense, we can say. And so that, and on the basis of that, we divide the biodiversity into 3 types: genetic biodiversity, species diversity and ecosystem diversity. Genetic diversity, you know that here you see that these are the mollusk shell, and this is the DNA helix, and this is one mammal, and this is one mammal, but all are different. All are different. All the human being in your college, all the students are not of same. They are not at all. They are not at all same. The two students are not same in all aspects, and this difference is due to the genetic differences. Then it comes the species diversity. You see, this is the Coleoptera. In Coleoptera, different species are found. And this is the diversity of species in animals. In the plant, also you will see in one group of plant a number of species are there. And this species differences is due to the morphological features and to for some other characters, and so that the species diversity and this ecosystem biodiversity. You see different types of that mangrove, Sundarban one ecosystem, this aquatic ecosystem in pond, in the water bodies, aquatic ecosystem, in hill, mountain ecosystem, and like this different ecosystems of the terrestrial ecosystem, marine ecosystem, all different ecosystems are there. So that on the basis of the ecosystems, the biodiversity differs. As because every ecosystem has unique characteristics, unique climate, unique other physicochemical and other biological factors that differ from each other, and that's why the biodiversity, narrative biodiversity, that is great, and ecosystem and biodiversity diversity, and then why biodiversity is important. Biodiversity is all the living forms, the diversity in ecosystem, and diversity in genetic material in the species. And then question comes, after knowing biodiversity, why we should go for biodiversity, and why biodiversity will save the humanity. You know, this we the humankind depends on biodiversity, and how first thing the commercial value, oil, fertilizers, etc. extracted from species of plants and animals. You know, the plants of animals, it helps us commercially. Then biological value, pollination I have already mentioned. Soil formation, soil is formed due to decomposition, humidification, in the presence of millions of soil fauna and flora. And so if there is no fauna and flora in the soil, in the parent material, the soil will not form. And if there is no soil, no plant, no flower, no fruit, and no other helps which we get from the plants and animals will not get. The nutrient enrichment from the food, from other drinks, from the soil, and every component of the mother nature are getting nutrients from the biodiversity. The nutritional value cannot be measured in terms of money, as because this biodiversity extends the services towards the recreation of the humankind. Aesthetic value, art, poetry, literature, everything originates from the essence of from the beauty of the nature, biodiversity. And scientific value, gene pool. All the varieties we find today, all the benefits we get from the living resources, biological resources, from millions of species, and their evolution, and the human welfare, ultimately human welfare on the extent, on the cost of those biological resources, everything and considered as the scientific value of the biodiversity. And we call the biodiversity as the life, and life is biodiversity. And this is the life supporting system. Life supporting system. I've already mentioned biodiversity safeguards human health. Biodiversity is essential for ensuring food security, and biodiversity is important to the global economy. And biodiversity is the pillar that allows ecosystems to function and humans to thrive. I will come later to ecosystem, and biodiversity influences ecosystem services worth around 125 trillion per year. Ecosystem services, which cost about 125 trillion per year, and this is done executed by the effect of the biodiversity. Biodiversity boosts ecosystem productivity by each species, no matter how small, all have an important role to play. Sometimes the question comes, if one species is lost, is there any problem? Is there a problem in the ecosystem? Yes. If only one species is lost, there may be a great problem in the ecosystem processes, functions and services. And this suppose one species, frugivora species, that means the species which eats the fruits, and ultimately this frugivora species, they help in the distribution, dispersal of seeds, and this dispersal help the generation, development and generation of the plants in different areas. If this particular species is lost absent from that ecosystem, this function of dispersal of seed will not be there, and that problem will come, related problem will come. Large number of plant species mean a greater variety of crops. Greater species diversity ensures natural sustainability for all life forms. If the species number is very good number of species are there, diversity is very good, very rich diversity of species, then the sustainability of life forms will develop. That means the species, the interaction between the species will be much more better, and they will get more benefit through the interaction, and that the healthy ecosystem will develop. And then we know that this 40% of the world economy and 80% of the needs of the poor by biological resources. 80% of the poor people, they live in our rural India and in other countries also, and their 80% need are met by the biological resources. It is the fact that technology could not be alternative of ecosystem services. In the beginning, I told that speech that technology-based development, we are running after that, but technology is not the alternative of the ecosystem service. Cannot provide the ecosystem services, cannot be substitute of the ecosystem service, and these ecosystem services only depend on biodiversity. The present day new genetic stock-based agriculture make global business of nearly 3 trillion. That means the agro-biodiversity. And without the agro-biodiversity, this crop production and the livelihood of the humankind and other living organisms on the earth cannot be sustained. So that this is one of the most important one. And nowadays the problem is coming up due to loss of the agro-biodiversity. The crop, in the beginning I told, the crop production is getting lost. Combined revenue of 20 best selling drugs developed from plants. In USA, nearly 70% of the prescription medicines, 70% of the prescription medicines are made of either plant or animal or from microbes. And biodiversity-based industry, tourism, and many other fields are there which completely or partial depend on the biodiversity and for our sustenance. And just one example, the value of a tree. You know that is from the very childhood. We know that from tree we get oxygen for our living, plant the tree, and then it takes straight from the air, and that's why the all living beings are successfully living on this mother earth. And 5.3 lakhs worth of shelter for birds and animals, and 10.5 lakhs worth of air pollution. Then facilities for soil erosion. It checks soil erosion. It gives oxygen. It also gives fuel. Ultimately, it costs about 25 lakhs. 25 lakhs of value of it of 50 years old. So that only one tree, if one tree gives this amount of help services to the humankind, then you think the what total benefit we are getting from this animal plant world, and similarly from the animal world also. And this biodiversity, it extends system services, its biological resources, it gives food, medicine, wood products, ornamental plants, breeding stocks, and future resources, diversity in genes, species, and ecosystems, whatever, what not. Everything are giving, we're getting from the biological resources. And social benefits. Social benefits are also related, and because this sustainable development. We are now talking about all the time talking about the sustainable development and what the human development, well-being sustainable development is to be needed and successfully followed. And the sustainable development have three components. One is social development, one is economic development, and another is environmental development. Social benefits, social development is also related to the sustainable development, and that too related to biodiversity. And that bees, I have already told, the bees, the population is getting low and low all the time, and this pollination is getting affected, and there is the problem in crop production, and then restart the program. Why? Now visible it is. Hello?
Yes, it is visible. It is visible.
Okay. And then that's I mentioned about the ecosystem services. There are basically there are four types of ecosystem services, provisioning services that it gives provides food, fresh water, medicine, fiber, energy, etc., and supporting services, detoxification in the nature, decomposition, humidification, the soil formation, etc., air and water purification, soil fertility maintenance, everything. Because without the if the biodiversity, the plants, animals, and fungus and microbes are not present in the soil, that soil will be considered as the waste soil, non-fertile soil. So that this biodiversity makes the soil fertile. And that's why we get this crops and agricultural productions. Regulating services, coastal and river channel stability, natural control of pest management, natural control of pest. We are using the pesticides. Indiscriminately we are using pesticides, and the effect of use of pesticides, excessive use of pesticides, we are experiencing the problems. We are getting the problems, and but naturally the pests are being controlled, and due to excessive use of these pesticides, fertilizers, and other applications, this natural system is getting hampered. That's why these agricultural crops and production of crops are getting less and less all the time. And cultural services that I have mentioned, and then the how much biodiversity in the world. So that who will depend on biodiversity, biological resources, but we have to know the status of biodiversity, not only in our country, in the world and in our country. And this, you know, that it estimates that it's from million to 100 million species. It's a global species diversity range from million to 100 million. It is estimated. And the best estimate is that 12 million species. 12 million species, maybe. But presently we have 1.75 to 1.80 million distinct species have been named. That means all these 1.75 million species are known today. But it is expected that there may be about 12 million people on the earth. Then in India, there are 17. India is one of the 17 megadiverse countries. That means it is very rich in biodiversity. Megadiverse country, and all sorts of habitats, ecosystems are present in India. That's why this richness of the biodiversity. And most interesting thing to that with only 2.4% of the world's area 2.4%, but the total biodiversity in our country, 7.44% of the world's recorded plant and animal species. And then in India at present, the country has as many as 1,681 species of animals. 1,681 species of animals. That is 6.49% of the world population of animals. And the 49,441 world plant species, that is 10.6% of the world plant species which are present in our country. About 5,150 plant species and 1,837 animal species are endemic to India. These are present only in India. And there are about 7,000 species, nearly 33,000 of flowering plants, and 18% of all plants found in India are believed to be endemic. And I'm not going into details. India is very rich in domestic biodiversity. India is very rich in the agricultural crops, varieties of agricultural crops, and the varieties of paddy, varieties of other crops, and the breeds. Number of breeds are very, very high in India. And in many respects, India is very rich, but still, the first goal of the 17 goals is the poverty, and second one is hunger that I mentioned. There are many biological resources which are to be exploited. There is a very good scope of exploitation of all those biological resources for development of the food source for the human being. And this Indian biodiversity, 16 major types and 51 subtypes of forest, very rich forest, 24.6%, 67% of the forest in our country. And we have, in our West Bengal, we have very unique ecosystem, unique forest, that is the mangrove forest. And this mangrove forest harbors a very unique biodiversity, and this unique biodiversity makes the ecosystem one of the important ecosystem in the world. And this this huge, this mega diverse countries, huge, very rich biodiversity is in danger. Not only in India, all over the world. All over the world, the biodiversity it is in great danger, and there are a number of threats of biodiversity. In India, at least 600 vascular plant species and 150 animal species are facing threat of extinction. And India has already lost 22 species, 18 plant and 4 animal species. In the last year, in the world, 7 species have been lost, become extinct in the last year. And the evidence suggests that Earth's natural capital and the biodiversity that underpins these goods and services are being eroded. During the last 500 years, 784 plants and animals got extinct. And in century, that IUCN red list shows that now species are not going into details. And recently, in the month of May 2020, IPBES, an intergovernmental platform on biodiversity and ecosystem services, and even United Nations organizations, it says nearly 1 billion plants and animals are under threat of extinction, and 50% within a decade. That means within a decade, 50% of the 1 million plants and animals may got extinct. This is a very alarming situation. And then what are the threats? Habitat destruction, global climate habitat destruction. It is very clear to everybody that habitat of the animals in our locality. If you think in your locality, just 15, 20 or 30 years before, there were plants and there were aquatic bodies, ponds in your locality, but in most of the areas, all those are absent. So why? Due to construction, due to transform of the land, due to change of land characteristics, and due to fragmentation of the habitats, because due to it is all these are the effects of the human intervention. I have seen in West Bengal also. You may have seen in South Chব্বিশ Parganas and other areas. These agricultural fields. The agricultural fields are being changed, are getting changed into fisheries. But those fisheries are not sustainable. Those fisheries are only for few years. After few years, the fishery will not sustain there, and ultimately that land will be transformed into a wasteland. The fertility will get lost totally, and the farmer will be in loss at that moment. And in other cases, the agricultural fields are getting transformed into for the construction of the houses for human settlement, and that is another great problem for this habitat destruction, habitat loss. Then global climate change, there is nothing to say due to climate change, and the biodiversity is getting lost. Biodiversity is in danger. Habitat fragmentation that mentioned, pollution, another thing, as that is for all sorts of pollution, air pollution, water pollution, plastic pollution, all pollutions, overexploitation. I will show you later. Alien species. This is most important one than exotic species, foreign species. All these are very important. And Dr. Alfred has also mentioned that 5 episodes of extinction have already been experienced by the and we're going for the sixth episode of extinction. It is already started, and scientists are confident that the alien species, the exotic species, invasive alien species would be the most important responsible component towards this 6th episode of extinction. And we're already facing, in India, it is estimated that 153 plant species and nearly 185 animal species are now in invasive alien species in our country. And various diseases, now we are facing the same thing, various diseases due to loss of the biodiversity and due to biodiversity is getting lost. This habitat loss, you see, the forest is getting denuded, and this habitat loss, and the reasons for habitat loss, agricultural farming, the dwelling, the human dwelling, settlement, etc. And this is natural causes of the habitat loss, mainly the forest fire. The solution for this, to avoid all these problems, this solution, this overconsumption. One American man eats 112 kg of meat yearly. Per year, 112 kg of meat. In India, 1 kg, and in China, 21 kg. And how much paper they are using? In America, in 2006, it was known that 300 kg of paper is being used by one American. In that case, in India, 6 kg, and China, 12 kg. But where from? These papers are coming 65% paper from wood, and 35% from paper recycling. This 65% of wood pulp, where from these are coming? And this where from this meat is coming? All these are coming from the developing countries where this tropical rainforest is there, and those people for earning money, they are denuding this forest, this tropical rainforest, and the pasture land is developed for the animals, and for supplying the paper pulp. And ultimately, what happens at the cost of the tropical rainforest? These people are consuming much. These people in the developed countries, the people are consuming a lot. So that overconsumption, one of the very important factor towards the loss of the biodiversity, and what cost I have already told, at the cost of the nature, at the cost of the biodiversity. So that we have to save the biodiversity. Another is poaching. Poaching is an age-old practice, an age-old problem towards the loss of the biodiversity. You see this poaching for the rhino's horn, for the elephants, this ivory, and the skins, tiger skins. Why poaching is done, and then for plants also. These plants are also collected, and these plants are also for getting money for exporting, and these plants are also getting lost. And then you see this invasive alien species. These are the invasive alien species and causing problems. But all invasive alien species are not causing problems. There are many which are beneficial to humankind also. And these are the animals. These are the common animals I have shown you. All these are including this coconut, this Catharanthus snails. All are invasive. But then the recent issues of biodiversity, 75% of the genetic diversity of plants. Ultimately, the genetic material of the biodiversity, biological resources, plants and animals and microbes are getting lost. And if the genetic diversity is lost, so that there is no chance of development of the new varieties, there is no chance of mutation, development after the mutation of these biological resources, and ultimately the loss of biodiversity. That means the humankind will get suffer, and due to a scarcity of the food, the medicine, the other materials for sustainable living. And this conservation now we have to save, so that this biodiversity is very, very essential to save the humanity, to minimize the problems towards the development, towards the well-being of the humankind, to minimize the problems, to mitigate the problems. Biodiversity is to be saved, but biodiversity is in great danger. There are a number of threats towards biodiversity, and now we have to overcome these problems, and through conservation of biodiversity, we have to conserve the biodiversity. And what actions are to be taken? government legislations, nature preserves, hotspots, and number of protected areas are there. I'm not going to detail this list. Research is needed, and research is going on all over the world. Captive breeding and seed bank, community-based conservation, etc., etc. Reduce climate change, purchase sustainable products. These are the common factors which have to be followed critically, rationally, religiously, so that we can conserve the biodiversity to the greatest extent. And in our country, the conservation of biodiversity is an age-old practice. Jim Corbett National was the first national park in our country in 1936, and after that, hundreds of national parks and biodiversity reserves and another protected areas have been developed for in situ conservation, and also for ex situ conservation. There are the museums and the zoo gardens, botanical gardens. These are their sacred plant home gardens. All are seed banks. These have been developed, and all over the world, the conservation practices are being critically and seriously, and it is followed and practiced. And this is in situ and ex situ conservation in our country, and we have in all over the world, hotspots have been categorized, and on the basis of the threats of the biodiversity, particularly the plants, and this hotspots in India. There are 4 hotspots: the Uremia, the Western Ghats and Sri Lanka, Eastern Himalayas and Sundarland. Why these 4 areas? Because these 4 areas are rich in biodiversity. But due to some anthropogenic as well as other factors, the biodiversity is lost in these rich biodiversity areas. So that to conserve the biodiversity in those areas, these areas have been designated as the hotspots, and the hotspots are to be managed in a particular internationally designated procedures. These hotspots are being managed, so that these hotspots all over the world are there are 35 hotspots all over the world. But besides all these activities taken up and measures taken up by the different countries all over the world, in 1992, that Alfred already mentioned, in 1992, the whole world thought about this biological conservation of biological diversity, and that's why the world meet was held in Brazil, in Rio de Janeiro, and there are 3 important documents were accepted, and 3 legally binding agreements were signed. The 3 legally binding agreements were signed, and 3 documents related to the sustainable development, Agenda 21 related to sustainable development, and another one forest development, and 3 legally binding agreements. The most important one is the Convention on Biological Diversity, and the Convention on the Climate Change, and the desertification. These are the 3 documents. This Convention on Biological Diversity is related. There are 3 objectives, mandates of the convention. The most important 3 are: first one, the conservation of biodiversity. First and foremost responsibility of all nations is the conservation of biodiversity. Second is equitable sharing of benefits. The second is sustainable utilization of the biological resources, genetic material, sustainable utilization. And third one is equitable sharing of benefits. This is the most unique part of this convention, this agreement, is the equitable sharing of benefits of the commercial utilization of the biological resources. Earlier, the conservators, the conventional conservators, that means the indigenous people, indigenous community who are conserving the biodiversity generations after generation, but they are not getting any benefit. They are not getting any benefit on their own interest, on their own benefit, or getting food, medicine, etc. They are conserving the biodiversity, but this Convention of Biological Diversity, this agreement that thought that these people are to be rewarded. These people should get benefit for their activities towards the conservation of biodiversity, and that's why it was decided that if the biodiversity, biological resources, genetic material are commercially used, that means in business, in production, in earning money, then the certain percentage of this benefit, that means money or in other forms, the benefits are to be shared with this community who are the conservator, basically the conservator of those biodiversity which are being used for commercial utilization. And this is the most unique part. And on the basis of that, after that, the number of conventions, protocols, acts, rules, etc. Were enacted all over the world. And in India, in 2002, as the one of the signatories of the Convention on Biological Diversity, India has enacted the Biodiversity Act. Though there are a number of acts which are one in other ways related to the conservation, but still the Biodiversity Act was enacted because in other acts which are the prevailing acts, there are some lacunae which are not addressing the conservation of biodiversity. That's why this Biodiversity Act was enacted, and here the most important objective, three objectives also, that of the convention activity. That means the conservation of biodiversity, sustainable utilization of biodiversity, and equitable sharing of benefit. This Biodiversity Act was enacted in 2002 in India, and there was the rules in 2004, and these are the main objectives, and this biodiversity, successful implementation of the Biodiversity Act in our country, in the three-tier management systems have been developed: the National Biodiversity Authority, the State Biodiversity Board, and the Biodiversity Management Committees in the local levels, in block levels, in gram panchayat levels are being constituted, and they are the custodians of the biodiversity of their area, of their jurisdiction, and as per the Act, people's biodiversity registers are being prepared, and this people's biodiversity register contains all the resources, informations of the biological resources present in the particular area, their utilization, and their threats, and their interrelationship with the humankind, and also the agro-biodiversity, domestic biodiversity, etc. And on the basis of the prepared information, the management plans and the conservation strategies of the biodiversity in our country are being formulated and being executed in our country. So that biodiversity conservation is a prime responsibility of not only the government and the nation, but it is the responsibility of all the people. And one of the most important one, the people should be interested first in conservation of biodiversity, and that I have seen in your college, in the St. Paul's College, the development, the creation of the constitution of this nature club, and through this nature club, I hope the students will get they will aware about the biodiversity, the environment, the problems, and how to mitigate the problems. All these are to be they should know, and they will try to act positively, actively towards the conservation of biodiversity, to save the biodiversity, to maintain the present status of the biodiversity, to mitigate the problems which are being faced by the biodiversity in our locality, and through this the little work activities, in total the whole the system, biological system will be saved, and ultimately the humanity will be saved through the interaction, through the help, through the functions extended by the biodiversity for the well-being of the humankind. So that our intention, our motto, our responsibility would be to save biodiversity, to save the humanity. Thank you. Hello? Hello?
Sir, we are all enthralled and thank you for your inciting speech. As we move forward with the event, we also have a few questions by our enthusiastic audience awaiting. I would request everyone to drop their questions in the text bar. I would read them out and you might turn on the microphones for any further clarifications. I begin with Dr. Kalyan Kumar Mondol's question that why are butterflies considered as the bioindicators?
Yes, very good question. Why the butterflies are actually these butterflies have their existence in nature very much dependent on the climatic factors, temperature, moisture, and they are very sensitive insects, sensitive animal. That means only in a favorable climatic condition, favorable weather, this butterfly can exist. So that if butterfly population is very rich, it indicates that the climate is also favorable to them, and alternatively it is favorable to man also. That's why butterfly is considered as the indicator species. It indicates the nature of the environment.
The next question is by Muhammad Saqib Ali, and he asks, on an individual scale, what can one do to protect biodiversity?
Individual scale, actually, from our state board, we have initiated one project, and that in schools and in colleges, the bio club that I mentioned at the beginning, bio club, and in this bio club, all the students they should enroll as the member of this club, and it would be their responsibility to extend the services in their locality. What success the individual student they can make aware the local people in his locality. First thing, that means awareness program. They can first aware their parents, aware their brothers and sisters, aware their friends, and aware their neighbors about the importance of biodiversity, importance of conservation of biodiversity, and the minimum ways the people can conserve the biodiversity in their locality. First thing, in the garden, in the local vegetations, what are the plants are present, what are the animals, insects and animals are present, these have to be known by the local people. And in that respect, the student can help. The student can help the other people to know the researches are going on all over the world towards the economic valuation of biodiversity. How much value of an ecosystem? Suppose one water body is there. In your area, one water body, one pond is there. What is the value of the pond in respect of the biodiversity? That is to be known. Sometimes the question comes that nature cannot be valued. Nature cannot be valued, but for the benefit, what's the conservation of biodiversity, to make the people aware that this particular component of biodiversity, its value is like that. Then only the people should get interest to save that one. Oh yes, it is so valuable. Its value 100 rupees. So that we have to save this for biodiversity, save this resource, so that this valuation, this work can be done in a minimum way by the individual student in his locality, along with the local people.
The next question is by Rahul Biswa. He asks, does species diversity follow any pattern? Also, what are endemic species?
What are endemic species? Endemic species, which species is restricted, is present in a particular area. The species which we call the endemic India, that means this species is not present outside India, not present outside geographic area of India. This is called the endemic species, Indian endemic species. And some species may be present only in Odisha. Then this species are nowhere else in the world. Nowhere else in the world. First thing, that species is endemic in India. Second thing, that species is endemic in Odisha. Sometimes we call it, but it is not correct. It is endemic in India.
The next question is by Spondon Brito, and the question is, do microbes ever go extinct? If yes, what will be the effect? If a pathogenic microbe get extinct, is it beneficial for mankind, or it will have some other adverse effect?
Actually, I have told that every species has got a definite role in the ecosystem. That may be pathogenic, that may be beneficial, that may be in other ways, but every species has a definite role in the ecosystem functioning and extending ecosystem services. So that this pathogenic bacteria are totally absent from the nature, there will be adverse effect. There will be adverse effect. Suppose tiger is a carnivorous animal, very ferocious, but if so that we may think that if there was no tiger, there was no problem with the Sundarban. The Sundarban people were very safe. It is not a fact. Tiger is also needed in the ecosystem. It is also needed in the ecosystem. Similarly, the pathogenic ones are also important in the ecosystem.
The next question is by Anirban Dhar, and he asks, can we consider wind as existing conservation? I have learned that wind is an example of existing conservation. Is it right?
Once more, you tell.
Can we consider wind as existing conservation? I have learned that wind is an example of existing conservation. Is it right?
Yes, it is to some extent it is correct. It is correct.
Okay. Following, we have another question by Shoramu Chakraborty. It is, We all know how much environmental knowledge is important, but why the environment studies as a subject doesn't get that much priority from the primary level of schools?
Very good question. From the very childhood, we always prefer to teach everybody this environmental science about the environment. And nowadays, in the recent this education policy that I have seen, here also not much importance is given in the environmental science. But the nation government is very much interested about the teaching of environmental science from the childhood, from the school levels, and in the syllabus, the environmental science is there. In the college also, environmental science is there in graduate level, but not getting interest. The students are not getting interest, and the system is not helping to make them interest in this environmental science. And this is a fact. This is a fact that it is not getting interest. And what our state board is thinking in that way, that from my experience, I have seen that this environmental science in college and schools, particularly in college, the environmental science one subject is there. And most of the students, they tell that just before the night before the examination date, we read the book and then we get huge number in environmental science. If this is the fact, then it is not possible, and the student will not get any interest in environmental science in future. And for the children also, in the schools, one day, on environmental day or any particular day, 1 or 2 days in a year, some function happens, some tree plantation may be done, but it doesn't affect the students. It does not affect at all, from my experience I've seen. So that we have started one project. In every school, and if the college interested, college can take up this project, the Bio Club. Bio Club, here the students, just like our nature club that I have been I have learned, and that regularly you are organizing the seminars, you are organizing the discussions, you are organizing other field works and awareness programs, etc., etc. And all these are to be conducted by the students through this Bio Club. And I think that through this project, through these activities, year-long activities, for the 3 years, 7, 8, 9, 3 years, is a particular student for 3 years, year-long activities on the environment and biodiversity. Some effect will happen to that student, and the students, I'm sure that student will get interested in future life about the conservation of biodiversity, about the environmental studies, etc., and etc. So that this continuous process of learning of the environmental science, the biodiversity are to be needed, without which this environmental science cannot develop.
There's another very interesting question by Spondan Doito. He asks, can we bring extinct species back by cloning?
Extinct species which is extinct, only we can get their fossil. Only we can get if it is already extinct, we can only get their fossil. Then how we can get clone, make clone of the extinct species. So after extinction, how we will get this from fossil? How you can get make the clones? I do not know. It is not possible.
Then we have Rahul was asking, so after plants and animals animals, will human be the next to become extinct?
After plants and animals, a human being. Suddenly,
Yes.
suddenly, if there is no plants and animals, the, Einstein told that if honeybee is lost, is extinct, honeybee is extinct, the human civilization will exist only for 4 days. Only for 4 days, human civilization will exist. And in ancient civilizations, that Tigris Euphrates civilization, Mohenjo-daro civilization, that Mesopotamia, Euphrates civilization, Mesopotamia civilization, is Indus Valley civilization, and that Roman civilization, the Maya civilization in Mexico, and all these civilizations were flourished to some extent, a great extent. These civilizations are flourished, and it was there for 500 to 5,000 years. But all those civilizations ultimately collapsed. How? Due to overpopulation. Overpopulation means loss of biodiversity. Overpopulation means environmental degradation. To provide food, to provide medicine, to provide all the necessary requirements, to meet all the necessary requirements of the humankind. So they were to depend on the environment, the natural resources, so that ultimately natural resources are lost. The fertile land were completely changed, and it changed to unfertile and wasteland in all the cases, and the civilization collapsed. And so that the same thing may happen here also.
As we have come to the end of this session, we have a question by Rohit Prasad. He asks, as a student of BSc General in Calcutta University, is he eligible to pursue an MSc from Environmental Science?
Environmental science, I think it is possible. But what you tell me? What was the subject?
He has said BSc General in Calcutta University. Subject of
BSc General in Calcutta University. BSc General in Calcutta University, MSc in Environmental Science. I'm not sure. I think that is not possible. BSc in General, the Environmental Science. I'm not sure.
Thank you so much, sir. I hope this was a constructive session for our audience. And before we conclude this event, we have an appealing documentary awaiting us for our appreciation. This presentation will be demonstrated by Ms. Shohini Mukhopadhyay and Ms. Chagoda Dash, students of 4th semester, Department of Microbiology.
Thank you, Srijata. A very warm welcome to everyone attending this webinar. Due to the unique initiative of Nature Club, our college now has a beautiful butterfly garden, and this presentation is all about it. This PowerPoint presentation is a part of collaborative work by our honorable college professors with all the students of SPCMC Nature Club along with Nature Club. We sincerely thank Dr. Golan Kumar Mondol, coordinator, and all the members of SPCMC Nature Club for all the necessary help. We would also like to thank the teacher in charge, Professor Debashish Mondol,
Vice Principal Professor Gautam Banerjee, Bursar Professor Shubhendu Kanjilal, and IQAC Coordinator Dr. Shoboshati Mohapatra for their encouragement. A special note of thanks to Dr. Ashukanti Shannal, Chairman, West Bengal Biodiversity Board, for his enlightening speech. We offer our sincere thanks to Mr. Arjun Basu Roy, Secretary, and his associates of Nature Mates Nature Club for their constant support, and Gupta and Shagota Das, 4th semester students of Microbiology Department, for this presentation on Butterfly Garden. Last but not the least, we express our sincere gratitude to all the teaching and non-teaching members and all the students of St. Paul's Cathedral Mission College family for their constant support. On a different note, I would like to clarify that all the butterflies, host plants, and nectaring plants that we will mention here are a part of our garden. Butterfly gardening is a way to create, improve, and maintain habitat for lepidopterans including butterflies, moths, and skippers. Our garden has been equipped aptly to support and sustain butterfly population and to provide habitat for each life stage. Over the course of time, different butterflies, Mormon, line swallowtail, blue tiger, eastern striped albatross, psyche, pink tiger, and common grass yellow have been found to be frequenting our garden. The first species, Papiliopolitis, commonly known as common Mormon, can be found all over Asia. They are characterized by the ability to fly rapidly near the ground. The butterfly has a male and 3 female forms. The female forms mimic other non-palatable species like red-bodied swallowtails to escape being eaten by predators. They need access to water or moist earth as the males often congregate on saline soils and wet sand to extract minerals. Both forms are fond of flowers. This species require access to the plants that comprise their adult diet and the diet of their larvae. Also necessary is the availability of branches or twigs for pupal support. Papiliopolitis eggs are globular and pale yellow in color. As they age, the eggs become light brown. The larva breeds upon various species like bale, curry, and citrus, which serve as the host plants. The next species, Papiliopolitis, is commonly known as lime swallowtail. This butterfly can fly quickly, rapidly at height. They often engage in mud-puddling behavior in groups. They feed on flowers while in quick flight. They also show a spontaneous preference for feeding for blue and purple flowers, while the yellowish green, and blue are completely negated. They are found particularly in abundance during and after monsoon. Another interesting fact is that the caterpillars show an uncanny resemblance to bird dropping and thus can defend themselves from predators. The name lime swallowtail refers to their host plants, which are usually of citrus species. Apart from lemon, curry, and bale also act as host plants. Tirumala limiax, species otherwise known as blue tiger, is a strong plant found all over India. In this species, both male and female forms are similar, but the male possesses split on underside. They are brown blue in color and have blue streaks on broader forewing, while streaks on the hind wing. They breed in forest areas. Males are attracted to plants containing pyrolysis alkaloids such as Crotalades species. They are non-palatable to other predators, and their bodies contain poisons. It has been studied that high-intensity light significantly increases their flight activity, thus aiding in migration. Watercapa volubilis, found in our garden, serve as a host plant to this species. The next species is Apis albana, commonly known as eastern striped albatross or Bengal albatross. These are generally dusky white to yellowish in color with black or round stripes and are generally found in 2 forms, Libethia subspecies and Dolphina subspecies. The males are opposite white. The subspecies Libethia differs from the male common albatross by vein in forewing forming a right angle.
The females have an upper side forewing and a dark margin with or without white spots. The Olfana subspecies is striped on the underside and is commonly found in our college grid. These butterflies are distributed all over northwest India to Burma, Laos, Vietnam, and Sri Lanka. The flight of these butterflies are generally high up and is found in forests with well-vegetated river valleys and gardens. Both the male and female sexes are fond of flowers. Males are often attracted to mud puddle of damp ground, and the females are seen either oviposting or nestling at cardus or other Asteraceae. The adults of this Olfana and Levitia breed throughout the year. The host plants used for oviposting include Cleome brutitosperma and other Capparis species like Capparis sepiaria and Capparis zeylanica. Moving on to the next species, Leptosianina, commonly known as Psyche, are the small beetles belonging to the Pearei family. The upper forewing has a black spot on a mainly white background. These are distributed all over India and Sri Lanka to Australia. The flight is low, weak, and common in dry open forests of low elevation. They are of similar sex, and neither of the sex seems to visit wet and prefer flowers. An interesting fact is when these butterflies listen with open wings, it is reminiscent as a snowflake and look beautiful, and thus are also known by the delightful snowflake. The eggs are spindle-shaped, pale green in color, and are laid singly on young terminal leaves of host plants, including Cleome brutitosperma and various members of the Catharanthus family. They are active mainly in early morning and just before sunset. Prefer to fly when light level and temperature will low. They are much more prevalent in humid conditions. Both the sexes commonly visit Vernonia and Assistacea flowers for nectar. The next species is Donus chrysippus, also known as plain tiger. They're medium-sized butterflies widespread throughout India and Sri Lanka, Africa to southern Europe and Australia. The body is black with many white spots. The wings are orange, the upper side brighter and richer than the underside. The hind wing has 3 black spots in the center, 4 in the case of male. Their flight is slow and sometimes poisonous. For this reason, they are mimicked by several palatable butterflies, the annate eggfly female being one of them. The plain tiger prefers to fly in arid open areas and are found in a variety of habitats like deserts and mountains. The host plant which they prefer is Calotropis gigantea and also includes most genera of Peducaceae and Asclepiadaceae. Some species of these plants contain cardenolites which are heart depressants. The cardenolites are sequestered by the larva and pass to adult butterflies. Other species used by the larva, however, do not contain these cardenolites. Consequently, some are inherently toxic, others are harmless. About 80% of the adults are non-toxic at the time of emergence. The butterflies are found in large number in dry season. Both the sexes patrol flowery areas. The last species we will talk about is Uremia Hecate, also known as common grass yellow. These are fairly small, recognized by bright yellow wings and has a habit of gathering in small groups. The dry season form often has rust-colored patch near apex of underside forewing. It also has 2 dark marks underside forewing. The female often has broader black margins to wings than male. These butterflies are distributed commonly over India, Sri Lanka, westward to Africa, and eastward to Australia. The flight is usually weak and can be purposeful above canopy level at times. They prefer flying in open areas, stream edges, hedgerows, and are fond of wet sand, where hundreds of males congregate during wet season. Both the sexes are fond of flowers. The eggs of Uremia species are spindle-shaped and pale yellow colored when first laid, and later changes to a darker shade before hatching. The eggs are laid singly on the upper side of the leaves of host plants like Mimosa pudica and Telestratia. Females are more discreet in behavior, normally being seen singly while nectaring. Apart from the feeds on and the larva breeds, the nectaring plants are needed by the butterflies for the nectar. One of the primary factors influencing the survival of butterflies are the relative territorial abundance of the nectaring plants. Some of the nectaring plants of a garden include Lantana camara. This belongs to the verbena family and are native to the American tropics. They are, however, found abundantly in India. The bright blue, purple, pink, white, yellow, and orange blooms of this plant attracts the butterflies immensely. Moreover, the flat or dome-shaped clusters of the small tubular flowers greatly preferred by the butterflies as they can safely perch on them while feeding. Swallowtails, among other butterflies, feed on this particular plant. Next, Ixora singapurensis. Ixora is notable for its brightly colored flowers, which are composed of many blossoms massed together into dense flat-topped flowered heads. The structure of the flower and relative concentration of nectar makes these flowers attractive to both large and small butterflies. The butterflies still on flight move from flower to flower, constantly probing with their proboscis as they feed on nectar. Mormon, banded swallowtail are some of the butterflies which feed from this plant. Next, Hibiscus rosa chinensis, commonly known as China rose or Java, is a genus of flowering plant belonging to the family Malvaceae. It is widely cultivated in tropical and subtropical regions but is not known in the wild, so that its native distribution is uncertain. The color ranges from white to pink, red, orange, peach, greatly attracts the butterflies. The flowers are, however, large, conspicuous, trumpet-shaped with 5 or more petals, which serves as an advantage for the butterflies to feed on the nectar. Checkered white, cloudless sulfur, gray hair streak are highly attracted by this flower. Next, Catharanthus Rosius, which is commonly known as Nayantara, is a species of flowering plant in the family Apocynaceae. It is native and endemic to Madagascar. The flowers have 5 petal-like lobes and are white to dark pink in color with a dark red center. The flower is functionally cleistogamous with pollination limited by foraging behavior of insects. Only proboscis of butterflies and hawk moths could reach the anthers and stigmas. Apart from this, it also serves as a great ornamental and medicinal plant. Next, Euphorbia hyssopifolia, also commonly known as Mexican heather or Hawaiian heather, is a small evergreen shrub native to Mexico and Honduras. It belongs to the Lythraceae family. The purple, lavender, and white-colored flowers with fine foliage captivates the butterflies towards it. The leaves are arranged in an alternate manner and gives the plant a fern-like appearance. It is a tender tropical shrub and exhibits non-stop flowering. So, as we approach the end of our presentation, we would like to conclude that this garden has been a success. We have noted much progress considering the different species of butterflies visiting our garden already. Moreover, a remarkable increase in the number has been noted in the recent times. The absence of human disturbance as a result of the prolonged hiatus issued in action to the pandemic surely being one of the reasons why. With these butterflies choosing our garden as a breeding ground, we surely expect more winged visitors in coming days and hope our garden will become a safe haven for them away from the clutter and the pollution of the city. Thank you.
I thank the both of you for such a delightful presentation. Now, to conclude, I will urge our student coordinator, Mr. Surya Kundu of 3rd year BHNL, to give us a vote of thanks.
Thank you, Srijata.
our honorable speaker, respected secretary of the governing body of our college, my respected teachers, members of Nature Made Nature Club, and all the participants across India and abroad. It's my privilege to have been asked to propose a vote of thanks on this occasion. I, Shurjo Kundu, a student of St. Paul's Cathedral Mission College and also one of the coordinators of this webinar, on behalf of St. Paul's Cathedral Mission College Nature Club, want to extend a very hearty vote of thanks to all the honorable delegates who blessed us with their presence and took out valuable time from their busy schedule. I would like to extend a special thanks to the respected speaker of this occasion, Dr. Ashok Kanti Shandal, for inspiring us with his valuable words. The way he explained the topic was excellent. Thank you so much, sir. I express my sincere gratitude to Dr. J.R.B. Alfred, Secretary of the governing body of our institution, for being with us and also for his kind words. I am immensely thankful to our respected teacher in charge, Professor Devashish Mondol, our Vice Principal, Professor Gautam Banerjee, Bursar of our institution, Professor Shubhendu Kanjilal, and IQAC Coordinator, Dr. Shobhashachi Mahapatro, for providing us encouragement and support. Thanks to all of you, sir. Now a special mention to our respected teacher, Dr. Kollan Kumar Mondol, who is one of the coordinator of this webinar and also the coordinator of St. Paul's Cathedral Mission College Nature Club. Without his active participation, this would have been impossible for us to organize this event. Sir, your continuous guidance stimulated us to do our best. Thank you so much, sir. All our respected teachers and all the members, especially from Nature Club, Abhishek sir, Anamitra ma'am, Moushumi ma'am, Debolina ma'am, Rana sir, Shutanuka ma'am, and Devabroto sir supported us a lot. My hearty thanks to them. Now I like to congratulate all the participants for their active participation. Especially thanks to all the respected professors, research scholars, students who have attended this webinar from all over the India and abroad. Special thanks to my friends Rahul Biswas, Srijata Shaha, Sangita Pal, Anusha Roy, Shauramo Chakraborty, Shohini Mukhopadhyay, Shagota Das, Antariksh Venkat Ramanan, and Rupam Kul. As no program can become successful with a single person. So last but not the least, I extend a very big thanks to all the members of St. Paul's Cathedral Mission family for their support and help. Thank you so much for making this occasion successful with all of your contributions. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Shurjuta, for your kind words. I would like to see that the feedback forms will be sent to you in your respective email IDs or WhatsApp chats within 24 hours. Thank you so much. I appreciate our admirable audience for their patient hearing. Have a nice day. Thank you for your participation. Goodbye.
Goodbye. Thank you so much, Dr. Sanyal.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much.